Hey, beautiful spirits. I just wanted to stop in to give you guys today's tools for using Tools Tuesday. My name is Shakima, and welcome to my channel. I just wanted to basically break down this whole concept of magic and the alignment of magic with the word manifestation. Manifestation is something that's used a lot in Christian religion, and I think breaking down the word will, give us a better understanding of how this is utilized in the process of magic. First, we have to know what magic is to understand more about manifestation. Um, so that's what we're really going to be breaking down today. I shall be having several sips of my tea throughout the process just to make sure that my voice box is open to be able to project the information, because majority of this will be an intuitive channeling of information based on the details that my guides have given to me over time. Okay, and I could just already feel the heart chakra activation in the space, so I'm really intrigued to see what comes out in the space, because I I can't really say that I ever prepare for these things, but I feel like my life is a preparation for coming into this space. So um, I hope that you guys are able to basically utilize the information. Okay. Hey, lovely. So the main thing that I really wanted to address in this space basically is the fact that I keep hearing people talk about, giving people, guidance on how to work their magic, or how to set their intentions, or how to basically be who they already are. That's kind of how I break it down on Instagram before I came into this space to really, digress the details of what I put out on my Insta Live. Magic is essentially a three-step process of manifestation. First, we have a thought. We connect that thought to an intention. That intention then requires action. And that action, hey presto, we have something that has been manifested. That is a process of magic. Magic is a 3 to 4 step process of manifestation. We kind of have to understand firstly what we are, to really give ourselves the opportunity to come to an understanding of magic and what it takes to create. Um, what I want to address is first and foremost the fact that, I'm going to try and keep this short and sweet as well, because I do want to not go off on a tangent so that people are able to sit still to receive the information in this space. And I may follow up on this later on, in life as I receive more information. Um, we are essentially advanced technology. When we speak about the human avatar, I know that for a lot of us in this matrix, assume that this is all that there is and there is nothing else. But we are a spirit within this vessel that is actually puppeteering and navigating through the process of life, and the ego, which is what makes us human, because that is where we get our opportunity to get free will, which really isn't free will, it's more governed will, because it is governed by the law of karma, which is the law of cause and effect. Okay, so if you are at a place where you can basically allow for your perspective to be shifted, because your ego is basically something that is utilized for perspective. It gives you tunnel vision essentially until it gets the opportunity to expand once it knows more information. The ego only seeks to understand what spirit does, and it can only know more about itself when spirit shows it more about the experience, because spirit is the all-knowing. And with spirit knowing all, the ego only knows as much as it can perceive in that one given situation, scenario, or circumstance. So, first, understanding that we are advanced technology and we read information through our chakras, which are, portals for information processing. We process our emotions through our chakras, and we process our rationale through our mind space, and each of the chakras are connected to different organs, and those different organs that are connected to these chakras are affected and impacted by the way that we process things. Okay? And going through a notion of these things will actually give us an opportunity to be able to consciously manifest. Okay? And that's essentially what magic is. When you think about a magician, you know that they're basically utilizing psychology to make things appear as something. You know, they are using psychology to get one over on you, basically. They're very stealthy. The reality is, you yourself are a magician. You know, you were created through magic. Nature in itself is magic. I was saying on my Insta live that when a tree loses a branch, because we need paper, again, I'm gonna give the look, because obviously these trees have to die for the sake of our paper. Um, but once we sort of cut down a branch, then they lose something in that moment, and they then have to consciously navigate through a process where they think to themselves, okay, um, how am I going to navigate through this process? Where am I going to grow my next branch? Well, obviously they know where they're going to grow the next branch, but how is it going to sway? You know, how is it going to be most effective for shading? These are some of the things that trees do when they create their magic. That's nature. We are a part of nature in its extended form, but we are so, I guess, our ego has been so overstimulated by societal viewpoints. Our ego's also been stimulated by, I guess, the shadows of other people's ability to create within our space of creating. So these are people, like our friends, family, colleagues, romantic partners, that will have expectations of us as individuals, and they then cast those expectations over our true light within the vessel, over our spirit within the vessel, and we then seek to please them, thereby taking on the shadows that they have casted over our light. And within that, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, because parts of our ego die, parts of our perspective of ourselves die as we take on other people's focus of who we need to be, okay, in order for them to accept us. And throughout those types of process, this is where we get thrown within our manifestation process. This is where we get thrown within creating our magic. So our magic then becomes their magic, because they are creating through us as a vessel as well as themselves. So they get two vessels, you know, some greedy ass stuff, but that's what happens. That's where I consider folks, I do that myself as well from time to time, just to make somebody feel nice and special. But what we're essentially doing is being our best muggle selves in those process. To me, muggles are people that give, are magicians that gives their power to create away, because the reality is that we are all created from the one source, which means that we are all actually magicians. And to acknowledge that some magicians give their power away to society, which tells them what jobs they need to do. They gave us jobs because they know that we need purpose. And when I say they, I'm talking about warlocks, for lack of a better way of putting it. You know, some people may disagree. The Bible even outlines the fact that, you know, we're witches in our natural form. And again, we have to be careful of the words that we use, because some people, there's a lot of negative connotations over these words. So some people do not want to take it on board for themselves. But for me, when I asked Spirit to show me who I am, that's what Spirit ended up showing and saying to me back in, I want to say 2017. But again, not sure. Spirit saying I continue to unfold the process into 2018 start up. So it's simply a process, for me, if you ask me what the word means, which is our people that are deeply attuned to the earth. We live, breathe, and feel the earth, and we are able to connect to the earth through our chakras. The earth is a extension of us. We are an extension of the earth. And to say a witch is someone, is it's to say that we are all deciding which way to go to be able to navigate through the process of our evolution, which is why we have witchcraft, because you have the craft that is directly in alignment with your vibration. You have the craft that is in alignment with your cultural preferences, with your cultural identification. This is why people get so, I guess, hacked off with cultural appropriation, because they're like, well, that's mine. And to a certain extent, they are, in fact, right about that. And these, when we talk about racism, really, when people are out here being racist, and again, this is something that is learned and taught behavior, so I hold no one personal for the things that society has taught us to be, which is less than who we really are. Um, but these are essentially beings that are confused. We are all one race, and that is the human race, but these are ploys, these are, I guess, tactics within the matrix that have, and this is intended to wake some people up. You either take the blue pill or the red pill. But you utilize this whole process to be able to give us the opportunity to go through our evolution, to really give us an opportunity to come to an understanding of self outside of the projections around us, really urging us to be something else or someone else. When we talk about societal viewpoints over our space of creating, what we're really talking about is the Luciferian experience, because we're dealing with warlocks, going back to the space. Warlocks are witches too, which means that they are people, humanoid beings of magic that are here trying to, I guess, navigate through the process of using their magic. Warlocks are witches that practice from a different covenant. Witches are people, again, as I outlined, that are deeply attuned to the earth. And what warlocks do is that they take a witch's ability to be able to create for themselves. This is, when I say they, I'm talking about the government, I'm talking about the societal I guess, body that determines and dictates how we show up in the world, in their world, I should say. But they practice from a different covenant, and that covenant is not the seven Hermetic principles of the universe. It is not the covenant of God. It is not the covenant of allowing for yourself to live in the true form of your spirit. It is the covenant that feeds the ego. It is the covenant that has people disillusioned to the true core of what they really are. It is the covenant that hides the truth from people about their ability to actually create every single moment of their existence, so that they can take those people on, the muggles, that want to be able to give their power away to someone. Yes, I did sips too, because they can't take our power unless we give it to them. And they know this, which is why they formulated a whole construct to be able to basically slowly but surely, how can I put it, manipulate us into continuing to perpetuate and create their matrix, essentially. And it's against the natural order of things. Before, we would go with the law of karma, which says that people are creating for themselves their own punishment. A lot of us are living so deeply in our ego that we feel the need to speed up the process of their karma with some shit, you know? Yes, there are ways to work your magic. I make candles, for instance. I make candles for the purpose of manifestation in itself. I make meditation candles to help people and assist people in the process of creating their magic, in the process of bringing into manifestation their heart's true desires. But one first has to understand that they are already a magical being to be able to tap into that essence of themselves, to be able to awaken that being within themselves. First, we have to really understand and break down the concept of magic before we can really even disclose what manifestation is. Okay? Manifestation, broken down, is man infestation. We are infesting this earth with our ability to create, and we're constantly creating new things all the time. We're like a virus, we're like an infection on the earth, constantly creating things as we desire, as we intend to, as we will, and for the most part, one of the things that, one of the channelings that I got earlier today as I was meditating is that one of the reasons, if you go by scripture, why the angels were actually, a little bit concerned with God's unconditional love for us is because they are so obedient to God, spirits naturally, because that is the one of the first pure forms. That's what I'd say. That is the pure form of spirit itself, right? Consciousness, spirit. And because that's essentially what spirit is, consciousness, the ability to become aware of self. And um again, because we're talking about God as an acronym being good over darkness being to be ignorant of, and good over that would be to be knowledgeable of. So you are now in a place of self-awareness. Okay. With these types of situations where we are ignorant to the core of what we are, we don't allow for our true selves to show up in society. We instead allow for society to dictate how we should show up in the world because we have been programmed. This is why we go to school. This is why we go to their institutions, to be able to become robots of their programs, to become warriors and soldiers of their programs, which is why I refer to my tribe as the L.I.F.E Warriors, living in full evolution warriors, because it is a darn fight out here with all this BS that we've got projected at us, in this world, that tells us that we need to show up as people that is potentially less than who we really are, because as a spirit we are limitless beings full of infinite potential, and as human egos we are limited by our perspective, which these are the things that they overstimulate the ego throughout their institutions that they take us to, because the ego is then all of a sudden under the perspective that this 3D realm, this illusion of a matrix, is real, whereas spirit is the real form or state of being, and this is a manifested representation of that already is, essentially. Okay. But I don't want to, obviously, like I said, make this too long, so I'm actually going to be wrapping this up. Just know that you're already creating. So when there's people out here telling you, like, let me teach you or let me show you how to work your magic, all you need to do is really look to your culture to get more of an understanding of your craft. All you need to do is start to ask questions about, how your ancestors used to do things. Really find out more about where you're from and how, the story of your people as far as where you are from goes. Because for me, I'm Jamaican. I can't even say descent because I was born and bred in Jamaica. Came here when I was 12 to the UK, and it was my experiences in Jamaica that made me aware of self here in the UK, because otherwise I would have gone back to sleep. And I slept for years whilst I was here because I was trying to fit into their societal viewpoint and construct of who I should be. And then one day at 17, Spirit said, "You're an empath. Wake the fuck up. We have no time for this shit." And I was like, okay, teach me how to be an empath. I don't quite know what that means. And we've been on a journey since. And going from an empath, it led to realizing and understanding that I am a witch, and understanding and understanding that first and foremost we're all empaths. Some of us are more attuned than others. We're all witches. Some of us again are more attuned than others. It's all a case of our chakras. Our chakras are where we go through attunement. Okay, and if our chakras are off balance, which means unattuned or inattuned, I don't know how you'd, I guess, affirm that kind of representation or adjective, what adjective to use basically, but it's off balance because it is not attuned. And when that isn't attuned, that means that our avatar is going through some complications. There are some issues, there are some barriers for the avatar. Now, because of these types of issues, it makes it difficult for us to be able to navigate through the process of working our magic. One of the biggest issues for us working our magic is our inner child trauma. So That is one of the things that I would definitely advise any magician, witch, wizard. Jesus was actually one of the most effective wizards. And for me, Jesus, again, because I practice all 7 of the mainstream religions, Jesus being Prophet Isa, the story of Jesus, for me personally, Jesus is an energy source. It is the energy source of Christ consciousness, knowing self and being fully aware. I am that I am, knowing that whatever you determine or decree yourself to be is what you will show up as within the world. And this is why there's so many representations of the story of Jesus throughout history, because the story of Jesus is that many men have tapped into the realization of who they truly are, and those are the stories that we are given. We are all Jesus Christ, children of God. Okay, so this concept that we have been fed through religion to, putting these, I guess, idols, or creating these idols for ourselves, when all these people did by giving us the opportunity to learn from their stories is to know that we are exactly who they have shown up to be in the universe, and all we need to do is tap into that inner knowing of self so that we can actually, again, manifest miracles. Miracles are instant manifestation. Instant manifestations are light speed magic. Okay, guys? Like, we have to really understand the words that we use, because, again, this is a part of our process of manifesting our magic. Like, when we are saying things, we are casting spells. So we have to be careful of what we say to people, about ourselves, about our ability to create, about what we create. We have to really be very perceptive about the words that we use, and be very selective about how we choose the words that we use to be able to express our experience of our creating process, because we chose this life. We were very clear about what we were coming here to navigate through, what we were coming here to, I guess, evolve into or from. One of the things that Spirit's really been, I guess, breaking down to me as well is that essentially we are celestial beings. Every time you see a shooting star, basically know that there's someone new coming into this earth. Okay, and this is why a lot of us get so connected to astrology. This is why astrology exists, basically, because when you are born, for those that don't quite understand, when you are born, there is a star that appears somewhere in the night sky. They say it's in the eastern hemisphere of the sky that a star appears, and that star is a direct representation of you. And where and how that star travels is a direct representation of what will happen in your life and how your life will play out. So, my brother, my sister, understand, understand that you are a divine, celestial, spiritual being having a human experience. You have projected your light into this human vessel. That is essentially what is happening. You did that through magic, okay? And by magic, you continue to navigate, manifest, and appropriate this vessel for the process of your evolution. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. If you guys really want to like talk about this some more, definitely leave some comments below. You can reach out to me directly. My email is shakima the number 8 at gmail.com, and I'd really love to chop it up with you guys. If you guys would like me to go into anything deeper specifically from this particular video, then definitely hit me up, because I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Definitely be sure to comment, like, share if you care. If you feel like somebody else will be able to value the information just as much, or benefit from the information, then definitely pass it on. But be sure to subscribe for more, because this is what I want to utilize the Tools for Using Tools Tuesday segments to do, to really be able to give you guys some insight into how we create. If you guys would like to purchase your own candle as well, for the purpose of manifestation, for the purpose of your meditation process. Meditation, again, is the visual process of prayer. Prayer as well is spelling. Meditation is spelling. on a spiritual level, on the ethereal realms. Um, Again, I can go so much deeper into all of this stuff, but you guys let me know what you want to know. Definitely check out my website as well if you guys would like to work with me on a personal level. I do spiritual life coaching or mentoring sessions to assist people in navigating beyond being a muggle in this limitless school of Hogwarts, because that's where we're at, guys. We're living in Hogwarts. Hogwarts already exists. We're living in a playground of magical beings having a magical experience. Some are aware of who they are, and some choose to live in blissful ignorance. Who are you going to be? Okay. With that said, I love you guys. Sending you guys nothing but love, light, and positive intention for this Mercury retrograde period. Uranus is moving through Taurus, so shit's about to get upheaval. Just be open to the change and let it be. Let be, or let go and let God, I'll say.